Hi everyone, it's Sherry Carroll for SimonsStamp.com with a fall gift giving idea. I'm starting my project off with the Jelly Plate by Jelly Arts, and this will allow me to create a background on my paper using the PaperArtsy paints. The gel plate comes with a couple of protective sheets, so just go ahead and peel those off and it'll stick to your work surface. It's a soft, pliable piece of gel at about a half an inch thick, and it really accepts the paints well so that you can do some mono printing. Here I have a selection of some of the PaperArtsy paints that I'll be using for this project, and some of them are translucent and some are opaque, and they're all in the fall colors that I want to work with. I've used the PaperArtsy leaf die, and I've cut out a few sheets of freezer paper. I'll be using this on my gel plate as a mask. I'm going to speed this video up just a little bit so that I can get through the process and you can watch me do some mono printing. I could just play with the jelly plate all day. The stamp set that I've selected for this project is the PaperArtsy Hot Picks, and they are an unmounted stamp, so I have used some easy mount to mount them onto the foam. And once you've mounted that, then you just go ahead and cut them out, and it becomes a regular cling stamp. So I'm going to be stamping onto my background, and I have the Pumpkin Pie Mid-Tone ink from PaperArtsy, and it's a really nice mellow soft orange, I would say, between a golden brown and a soft orange. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up really well. And the foam mount that I've used, the Easy Mount, is thick enough to where I don't need to use an acrylic block. I can go ahead and pick up the stamp with my fingers. And I can just place this right onto the project. And I can go ahead and just press the stamp into the paper, lift it up, and now it's a really nice fall color, and I'll go ahead and get a second generation just by pressing this off to the side. I like doing a second generation when I'm doing a collage type image such as this, and it just gives me a nice muted color from the first color. Since the mid-tone inks are sitting on top of an acrylic base, I like to go ahead and blot off the excess ink with a paper towel, and you can just blot it up. I'll be sizing this up to see if I want to stamp any more. I'll be cutting out the leaf from this background, so yes, I do need to stamp a little bit more. This time I'll be using the PaperArtsy Mid-Tone Cup of Joe. I think fall colors also incorporate a lot of brown. So I'll just get this inked up really well, and that's my poor attempt of showing you the ink lid. And once I'm ready, I can go ahead and flip that over and position it where I want it on my little panel here. And then I can press it down with my fingers. I think you get a really great impression when you do use your fingers. You can feel the stamp. And again, I'm going to go ahead and try to get another second generation. And here I'm just overlapping a little bit onto that other leaf. Now I'll press a little bit harder. And here's how this is looking. I've decided to use an additional stamp, and this is the little mini 29, and it's from PaperArtsy also, and it's some postage stamps. I'll be doing a little bit of carefree stamping, and I'm not going to really worry about how I ink the stamp, although I'm going to use the pumpkin pie again. And here I'm just pressing partially into the ink pad and then partially onto my paper. So I'm kind of randomly stamping. And I'm going to go ahead and clean that off a little bit and get some brown. But I'm not pressing the entire stamp into the ink pad, or am I pressing the entire stamp onto the paper? So this gives me a really nice collage remnant look of the actual image. At this point, I think I might have it filled in enough. I'll go ahead and get my die out again and look to see how I might want to cut this out. So I'll move this around and find the best image, just looking through the inside of the die, until I'm happy with what I see on the inside. Now I can run it through my die cut machine. Okay, so I have my leaf cut out, and I've decided it needs a little bit more green, so I'm using the Hay Pesto paint from PaperArtsy. And here I'm just adding it to the paper with my finger. It does look dark when I first put it on, but since it's translucent, I can move around and really push it into the paper and lighten it up as I go. I can add as little or as much as I want at this point, and it does kind of mute out my other stamping. And here I'll show you up close how this is starting to look. So I have my candle here, and I also have some raffia, and I have punched a hole into the leaf at the top in a nice meaty part so that it can hold the raffia being threaded through. I also have a couple stamps sitting on either side of the candle so that it doesn't roll away from me, and I'm tying a bow, and I'm trying to get it as tight as I can. And once I have that bow, I can go ahead and pull those ends really tight, and then I can readjust this as I need to and snip off the ends. I really like the size of this leaf die because it's substantial on this candle, and this is a larger candle. So once you turn everything around, you can go ahead and fluff your raffia up, and like I said, you can go ahead and trim your ends. And once I trim the bulk of the ends off, then I go back and trim smaller pieces. So here's how this looks. And here's another look at my finished project. I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial on my fall gift giving idea.